I think it was interesting for us because the project had run physically, but they'd always run a Virgin Money page that they didn't really signpost people to, but it seemed to be what people in the organisation were comfortable with. And I would have changed it last year, but it was one of those interesting, looking at what we already had, and given that the project was changing so much, actually figuring out which things do we keep for that year, whilst I explore doing some stuff differently. So we kept the Virgin Money page, and then actually, because it's closing down this year, I've had to change it, which is quite handy for me. So we're trying Givey this year for our page. But I think that was an interesting thing to think about, actually. What are we already doing, and how can we think about which things we change and which we keep to learn, to keep those ones and learn from the other ones. And I think, Sarah said earlier that everyone is learning this stuff. So figuring out networks to chat to people, like Facebook groups and things. There's one called Third Sector PR and Comms, which is an amazing group for this stuff. Mm-hmm. If you just ask, everyone has tried something and you can learn from other people's experience.
Absolutely. Yeah. Peer-to-peer seems to be the way forward. Sarah, as well, I remember you mentioning that.
Yeah, I think what was really important, I felt was really important as well, was really sort of trying to get everybody together. I think that's how I sort of started it as well. It was obviously wanting to do something for our families, but I kind of wanted to create like a little sort of community. We had obviously the celebs reading stories, and this year we got even more. So we had Sarah Davies as well, who's one of the dragons, and apparently quite a good dancer. And we've had Gail Porter and people like that. And I just wanted to try and get a wider community. So and just show that and get their support. And people were really supportive and still are. Yeah. I think they realise that people need these things to happen. They need to feel connected somehow.
Going on these guys, what they said about peer-to-peer support, I always find the Facebook group, the fundraising chat, that's usually my go-to to ask for advice. As soon as VMG said we're shutting down, I was on there going, what do we do now? Who's using what? And from that, I managed to have lots of really good discussions with different online platforms. So we can really see what is out there. And as you say, we've all used something. There's always someone in another organisation similar to ours who we can chat to. And that's the beauty of the charity sector, is everyone is out there willing to help each other. There's not this competition type culture going on. So definitely ask other people what they think, whether that's in the Facebook fundraising chat or LinkedIn. Just pose a question and you'll be amazed at how the conversation get out of it. But one example of when this has really worked for hybrid and online fundraising is we were looking how we can steward our Facebook fundraisers, and I'm going to give them a good old plug here. Give Panel have revolutionised how we steward our Facebook fundraisers, and I am one of their biggest fans. And this will come from conversations that we've had on these different channels. So definitely just go and ask those questions. Have an honest and frank conversation about how much that's going to cost and what these companies can do for you. I think that's just the best way to kick off any kind of hybrid online fundraising.
Going forward, what do you think you wish you knew, and what sort of pearls of wisdom are you able to share on that learning journey that you're still on? What are the main elements that you wish you knew and now you know? Annie, for instance, if you
I think I've mentioned already the kind of challenge of our trustees having seen the project all physically. And I think I knew and was arguing on my own that people like giving online and they like connecting online.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sarah, do you also want to add to that?
Yeah, I think there are a few things really, because obviously we didn't have anything in place to use as a platform. So, like the guys were saying before, I asked some colleagues, and so I sort of found out from them what they'd been using, and somebody had said I was asking about Enthuse because I'd seen it advertised. Somebody said that it worked well for them, so we used that. But again, it was a whole learning curve, learning how to use it. And it wasn't just me that was using it, it was marketing that were using it, and finance as well had to use it. So I think it's just being maybe more aware of the impact also that it has on other people.
Yeah.
I think I wasn't as aware of how other people would need to learn it as well. I think I was sort of looking at it purely from a fundraising perspective. And I would say secondly, I don't know why I was completely unprepared for this, but it's actually 2 events. A hybrid event is
Absolutely.
2 events. And it took me a while to get my head around that one, but you really have to plan for both.
Whilst, we're here to learn, to be able to provide tools for our supporters and give them an exceptional experience, when we actually deliver something that is a bit more technical, we need to appreciate that supporters aren't necessarily going to have the time or the inclination to learn this newfandangled platform. So trying to make it as simple as possible. And my dad's a prime example. He tried to do something or join an event on an app and it all kept going wrong, and in the end he just walked away and said, no, I'm not doing that anymore. So just making it as smooth as possible and appreciating that not everyone's going to be as tech savvy as we'd maybe assume.